The red and blue lights from police cars painted the wet asphalt in eerie shades. The crime scene was alive with activity, officers securing the perimeter, forensic experts moving in with cameras, and evidence bags being sealed. The victim's body, covered in a white sheet, lay at the center like the eye of a storm. You tucked your gloves tighter and bent down, the metallic scent of blood stinging your nose. Your pants crashed against your notepad as you documented the details. Your head, however, wasn't cooperating. The dull throbbing from the fever you had been ignoring for the past 24 hours grew sharper. You shook it off, crouching lower to examine the victim's hand, a carved mark, jagged and deliberate. Same signature. You muttered under your breath. It's them again. A tall shadow fell across you. You didn't need to look up to know who it was. Detective John Junker. His black coat swayed lightly in the night breeze, his sharp gaze locked on the body as though he could peel back the truth with just his eyes. He had the kind of presence that made even the most seasoned officers stand straighter. Another gang killing. Jungkook said flatly, crouching beside you. His voice was low, steady, lashed with an edge of irritation, not at you but at the killers. The black serpents. They're getting bolder. You nodded quickly, jotting down his words. Victim's age appears mid-30s. Carved mark matches the previous case from 2 weeks ago. You swallowed, your throat was dry. Possible connection. Territory, dispute, or a warning to rivals. He glanced at you briefly, narrowing his eyes. Don't guess, gather evidence, keep your observations objective. The words stung, though you knew he wasn't wrong. That was his way, precise, cold, unyielding. Yes, sir, you said quietly. He rose to his feet, pulling out his phone to make a call. Check every CCTV in a 5 mile radius. I want movement logs by morning. His tone was sharp, commanding. Officers scrambled to obey. You pushed yourself up, ignoring the faint dizziness. Your knees wobbled, but you steadied yourself against a nearby police car. No one noticed, thankfully. Back at headquarters, the station was buzzing past midnight, whiteboards filled with photos of suspects, red strings linking evidence, and exhausted officers typing reports. Jungkook's office door was ajar, the golden glow of his desk lamp spilling into the hallway. You knocked lightly. Enter. You stepped inside. His desk was clutter free except for case files stacked with military precision. Jungkook didn't look up immediately. He was scribbling notes on a map of the city. You'll prepare a detailed report, he said finally, his voice clipped. Every suspected hideout of the serpents, every known associate, every abandoned warehouse they could be using. Your heart sank, though your face remained composed. Timeline, sir? He finally looked up, those dark eyes meeting yours with an intensity that could strip someone bare. Tomorrow morning, I want it on my desk before briefing. A lump formed in your throat. You hadn't properly slept in 3 days, running from crime scene to interrogation to paperwork. Last night you had barely eaten, too busy connecting files, and now, with fever creeping higher, your body begged for rest. But the case mattered, and he was your superior. Yes, sir. You straightened, saluting. Don't get it wrong, he added, leaning back in his chair. We can't afford mistakes, not with this case. You forced a small nod, hiding the sting in your chest. Understood. Hours later, you sat at your desk in the dimly lit bullpen. Files were spread everywhere, maps, old reports, photos pinned with notes. The clock ticked past 2 a.m. You rubbed your eyes, then your temples. Stay awake, just a little more. A fellow officer Minho walked by, coffee cup in hand. He paused at the sight of you. Hey Ryan, you're still here? He forced a smile. Work doesn't finish itself. He frowned. You have been running on fumes for days. You should crash for at least 2 hours. Aunt, you interrupted softly. It's for Jungkook. That seemed to shut him up. Everyone knew how cold and demanding Detective John could be. Minho only gave you a look of pity before walking away. You turned back to the papers, blinking rapidly as your vision swam. The fever burned hotter. You grabbed your pen, forcing yourself to keep writing in the silence of the empty bullpen. Your whispers slipped out, tired but determined. You won't get me this time, Serpents. Not while I'm still breathing. And with that, you buried yourself back in the files, unaware of just how much this single night would change everything. By 4 a.m., your body was screaming for rest. The words on the pages blurred, merging into incomprehensible scribbles. You pressed a trembling hand to your forehead, whispering, "Just a little more." In your haze, one key location slipped past your review, an abandoned warehouse near the docks. It didn't even register on your exhausted mind as important. By morning, the bullpen was alive again, officers bustling around exchanging updates, phones ringing off the hook. You sat stiffly at your desk, your file stacked neatly, every paper aligned, your eyes burned from staying open all night. Detective John's office. Someone called. Swallowed hard and picked up the file, walking toward the lion's den. The door stood half open, and inside Jungkook was already poring over a city map, his sleeves rolled up, veins along his forearms taut. His sharp gaze lifted as you knocked. "Report," he said curtly. You stepped in, saluting before placing the file on his desk. "Completed, sir. Potential safe houses, suspected contacts, cross-checked with known serpent activity." He flipped through the pages silently, the only sound being the shuffle of paper. With every turn of a page, your heart pounded faster. His brow drew together, jaw tightening. Finally, he slammed the file shut. "This is incomplete." The words sliced through you like a blade. "Sir, do you realize what's at stake here? I gave you this work because I trust you with this the most." He shot up from his chair, pacing behind his desk like a caged wolf. His voice rose, sharp enough to silence even the chatter outside. "Bastards are leaving bodies in the streets every other night. Families are terrified, and you?" He stabbed a finger at the file. "You give me a half baked report?" "I checked every—" You tried to explain, voice faltering. "You missed an entire quadrant of the docks." He barked, his eyes blazing with disappointment and anger. "That warehouse has been on our radar for months. How the hell did you overlook it?" Your throat tightened. "I'm useless." The word landed heavier than any gunshot you had ever heard. Your chest constricted. You straightened immediately, saluting, even as your vision blurred with tears. "Understood, sir." You spun on your heel before he could see the cracks forming in your composure. Inside his office, the bullpen was too loud, too bright. You kept your gaze down, walking quickly back to your desk. Minho caught sight of you, worry etched across his face. "What happened?" You shook your head. "Nothing." Your voice was steady, but your hands trembled as you picked up a random file. Pretending to read, Minho's jaw tightened. "Don't let him get to you. He's harsh on everyone, especially after this case." "Not like this," you whispered, the sting of useless echoing inside your skull. He frowned deeper, but you ignored him, staring blankly at the papers in front of you. Back in his office, Jungkook stood frozen, staring at the closed door you had just walked through. His anger simmered, but underneath it, a nagging thought scratched at him. You never delivered sloppy work, never. And yet today, your handwriting was shaky, the notes weren't as precise. He remembered faintly how pale you had looked at the crime scene the night before, the way your hands trembled when you handed him the file. He clenched his jaw, pushing the thought away. Focus on the case, he muttered to himself. Emotions have no place here. But as he sat back down, staring at a report, he couldn't shake the unease gnawing at his chest, and somewhere in the bullpen you buried your face in your notes, silently breaking. The raid had been fast, furious, and empty. Officers swarmed into the warehouse like a flood, boots pounding against concrete, guns raised, the heavy metal doors crashed open, echoing through the cavernous space, but instead of a gang of armed serpents, they were met with silence. Rows of crates stood abandoned, cigarette butts scattered on the ground, half eaten food still on the table. The air reeked of smoke and gasoline. They were here. Officer Minho muttered, shining his flashlight over the crates. But they knew we were coming. Jungkook strode in behind them, his eyes narrowing at the scene. He crouched near the table, running a finger over the still warm cup of coffee. Damn it. His fingers slammed against a rusted crate with a loud clang, startling the younger officer. We were late. One officer, barely out of training, whispered too loudly. Maybe if the report had been thorough. The words echoed in the empty warehouse. Jungkook froze, his jaw tightening. His head whipped toward the officer, eyes sharp as knives. What did you say? The young man flinched. Nothing, sir. Jungkook's chest constricted. He wanted to blame someone, blame you for the oversight, but then an image flashed in his mind. You that morning, pale as a ghost, your hands trembling as you passed him the report. He remembered how your voice cracked slightly when you answered him, though you had tried to hide it. Something clicked. She wasn't careless, she was sick. His stomach dropped. Without another word, he turned sharply and barked orders. Search every corner. Collect fingerprints, fibers, anything. They were here less than an hour ago. I want everything backed and logged in 10 minutes. Yes, sir, the team echoed, moving quickly, but Jungkook barely heard them. His hand was already on his phone, pulling it out of his pocket. He dialed your number with urgency. One ring, two, straight to voicemail. His heart pounded harder. He called again and still no answer. Damn it, Ryan. His voice was tight, the calm facade slipping. Without hesitation, he stormed out of the warehouse, ignoring Minho calling after him. He didn't even care if the others saw how unsettled he was. The drive to your apartment was a blur of red lights and speeding tires. Jungkook's grip on the wheel was so tight his knuckles turned white. His mind replayed every interaction from the past few days, the way you swayed slightly at the crime scene, the way your voice had been hoarse when you responded to his orders, the way your hands trembled when you handed over the report. He cursed under his breath, pressing the gas harder. How did I not see it? By the time he reached your building, his chest felt like a vice. He climbed the stairs two at a time, not bothering to knock. He pushed your door open and froze. The sight made his blood run cold. You were lying on the floor beside your coffee table, case files scattered like fallen leaves around you. Your skin glistened with sweat, your lips pale, your body burning with fever. Why? For the first time his voice broke. He dropped to his knees beside you, hands trembling as he lifted you slightly. Hey, wake up. Can you hear me? Your eyes fluttered weakly, lips parting. Sir, what are you doing here? I was almost done with the files. His chest tightened painfully. Forget the damn files. His voice cracked sharp with desperation. Why didn't you tell me you were sick? You gave a faint, delirious smile. Didn't want to disappoint you. Jungkook's heart twisted. He pressed a hand against your burning forehead, muttering curses under his breath. Eat it, stubborn. Selfless idiot. You tried to shift, but your body was too weak. I just wanted to prove I'm not useless. The word stuck him like a bullet. His throat closed, guilt flooding him. Don't you dare say that again. You are the best damn officer I've got. I was blind not to see what you were putting yourself through. Your eyes slipped shut, exhaustion overtaking you. It's okay. No, it's not. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Your eyelids fluttered, heavy from the fever, threatening to shut. It's fine. I'll be fine. You don't have to. No, don't you close your eyes. His hand cupped your cheek gently, panic spilling through his usually cold demeanor. Stay with me, Ryan. That's an order. For once, his voice wasn't cold. It was desperate, raw, but your eyes already shut down despite him begging you. Minutes later, he carried you in his arms down to his car, ignoring the stares of neighbors. His coat was wrapped around you, his jaw set in grim determination. As he drove toward the hospital, he glanced at you, unconscious but breathing steadily, and whispered to himself, his voice breaking in silence. I'm never letting you push yourself like this again, even if I have to fight you on it. The sirens wailed faintly in the distance as he pressed harder on the accelerator, his cold mask shattered by fear and something deeper he had been denying far too long. The station buzzed with tension. A new tip placed the Serpent's leader, Dante, in an abandoned shipyard at the docks. It was their last chance. Jungkook stood before the briefing board, his gaze fierce but calm. This ends tonight. No mistakes. We go in quiet, we come out alive. You adjusted your vest, your fever finally gone after days of rest. Jungkook had refused to let you return early, practically chaining you to your apartment until you were well. Now standing beside him, you felt stronger, but also strangely nervous. Jungkook's hand brushed yours under the table just for a second. It was brief, secret, but enough. His voice lowered only for you. You ready, partner? You nodded, eyes determined, always. The salty wind whipped around as flashlights cut through the dark. Officers moved in tight formation. You and Jungkook split from the main team, circling toward the docks. The creak of metal above made you freeze. Suddenly a figure dropped down, armed. You fired first, disarming him, but more shadows emerged. Bullets echoed, sparks flying. Ryan, down. Jungkook tackled you just as a shot whizzed past your head. You rolled together behind cover, his arm instinctively shielding you. Your breath came quick, your face inches from his. He whispered harshly, Don't you ever scare me like that again. You smirked despite the danger. Focus, detective. We have got snakes to catch. You and Jungkook stormed the control room where Dante waited, smug. Well, well, the department's golden boy and his shadow. His gaze flicked to you. You look pale, sweetheart. Not sleeping well? Jungkook's jaw clenched, fury flashing. Shut your mouth. The standoff was tense, guns drawn, seconds stretching into eternity. Dante moved first, aiming at you. The shot rang. Jungkook's arm jerked as he shoved you aside. He had taken the bullet in his shoulder. Jungkook! You screamed, firing back. Your bullet hit Dante's weapon hand, disarming him. Officers burst in, cuffing him as he cursed. But your world had narrowed to the man in your arms, bleeding but smiling faintly. You saved me, whispered, pressing against the wound. He chuckled through pain. Of course I did. You think I would let you leave me with all the paperwork? Jungkook sat up in bed, his arm bandaged. You sat beside him, still shaken. You scared me half to death. You muttered, gripping his hand. His thumb brushed your knuckles. Yes, we are even. You have been scaring me for weeks, pushing yourself until you collapsed. I can't lose you, Ian. You froze at the raw honesty in his voice. Jungkook. He leaned closer, voice softer than you had ever heard. I was too hard on you, too blind, but I swear from now on I'll take care of you, not just as your partner. His gaze locked with yours, unflinching. but as the man who is completely, hopelessly in love with you. Tears stung your eyes. You mean that? Every damn word. You leaned forward, your lips brushing his, gentle, trembling but real. He deepened the kiss, his hand pulling you closer despite the ivy in his arm. When you finally pulled back, breathless, he whispered, "Looks like this case gave me more than I expected." He smirked, then familiar spark back in his eyes. "Good, because I'm never letting you go." Outside, dawn broke over the city. The serpents were gone, justice served, and in the quiet of that hospital room, two officers found something worth fighting for together.